Hello, and welcome to the presentation of When Students' Rights Are Wronged. This is a story of Miguel Hernandez. I am presuming the role of the school principal. So the case study summary. I am a principal at Dover Unified School District. We have one high school, two middle schools, and 6 elementary schools. Our high school is called Nottingham High School, and it serves 3,200 students. We have relocatable trailers that provide classroom spaces. The school was built in the 1950s, and even though we are struggling financially, we have updated most of the building to being up to code for ADA for serving students with disabilities. There is 1/4 remaining that is not up to code and still remains how it was when it was first built. As before I said, Miguel Hernandez is the student of this main focus. He is a transfer student. Him and his family transferred in order to pursue our football program that has been very successful. He has 4 younger brothers. He is currently a sophomore. As a sophomore, he is our star quarterback, and unfortunately, at one of his games, he was left paralyzed from the waist down. After many weeks of physical therapy, his doctors finally released him and said he was ready to return back to school. First day back, the school counselor, Miss Guzman, tells Miguel he can't be in biology class because it is not wheelchair accessible. The next day, Mrs. Hernandez comes in to my office with her attorney due to a violation of ADA and FAPE. I personally, at first, thought that they were coming in for compensation for injuries. If injuries are caused by negligence by a school or third party, a lawsuit could be made. This could be faulty equipment, ignoring an injury and results in a more serious injury, unsafe practices. Compensations are for injuries or property damage could be from medical bills, ER treatment, surgical costs. Injuries that leave students disfigured, scarred, or disabled should be compensated for. Most schools, however, have parents sign waivers in order to participate in sports. This is also known as consent form. This helps prevents parents from filing lawsuits against the school if their child is injured. However, there is an exceptions to negligence. So in this case, our school would not be found guilty of this because it was not an injury due to negligence. However, the Hernandez family has a good case under the Section 504 Rehabilitation Act of 1973, ADA, and FAPE. Because the school, under Ms. Guzman's actions, breached contract of discrimination by not making accommodations. By law, our school is required to provide ADA compliance to all staff and students. Miguel needs this class for him to get into the college that he is interested in. It is one of the required courses. So this is also a negligence of his well-being. Ms. Guzman's discriminated by switching him out of biology due to his physical disability. So what are the potential consequences? Well, the lawsuit could impact our district, who is already financially struggling. We could lose federal funding. Myself and Ms. Guzman could be fired. And Miguel's college future is at stake if he does not get that class credit. So prior to returning to school, what we should have done was figure out what Miguel would need. What could we do to give him wheelchair accessibility? We needed to review his classes to see which classes are and are not accommodated under the ADA. And we need to meet as an administrative team over compliances for ADA, IDA, Section 504, FAPE, and other special education needs. By doing this, we need to figure out what we could do now to accommodate Miguel versus what can we put in the future to help make changes to accommodate him, since he is only a sophomore. This could all have helped avoid the meeting with Miguel's parents and attorney. So some possible options are getting tables that wheelchairs can fit underneath, chairs that will allow him to transition from his wheelchair onto a chair safely. And in biology class, since there are labs, using this chair that can go up and down would be very beneficial for him so he can get up to those lab tables. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act have many different categories. So we have autism, we have deafness, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, learning disabilities, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, or visual impairment including blindness. Miguel would fall under the other health impairment. So going on to the ADA requirements, it is a disability. So a disability is defined as physical or mental impairment that substantially limits a major life activity, such as walking, seeing, hearing, learning, breathing, caring for oneself, or working. A person living with a spinal cord injury or who is blind is protected by the law because he or she is currently disabled. So yes, Miguel would also be approved for ADA. Now, qualifying for Section 504, a lot of people don't understand the difference between an IEP versus 504. 504 is when disabilities are sustainably limited one or more major life activities. So again, caring for oneself, walking, which in Miguel's case is the case, seeing, hearing, speaking, breathing, learning, working. It is a legal document also that provides services and accommodations to assist the student in education setting. It is up to the school system to determine whether Miguel would be justified under the IEP or 504 plan. Either way, he would qualify. One key thing is to consider is him needing adaptive physical education. And because of that, he could benefit more probably underneath the IEP, but either way would be the right way to go. So what are the next steps? After my meeting with the Hernandez family, I contact Dr. Harvey, the superintendent. From there, we contact the school members. I'll have to have a meeting with Miss Guzman and reach out to our school attorney. So my meeting with Miss Guzman, something we need to know is she's straight out of college. This is her first job. Even though that's not an excuse, it's something to be mindful of. First, I'd start out with advice with her, telling her that next time this situation occurs, we need to have a meeting with the parents, the student administration, and any special education specialists to determine what is going to be the best route for Miguel's education. I would also have to tell her the hard truth that her job is on the line, that she needs to write a formal statement addressing the mishaps towards the Hernandez family, and if her job is kept, she would have to go under formal training and enter a mentoring program if she's not already in one. So what are some possible solutions? Option one, the school, we could just do nothing and risk a lawsuit. Then I could be at risk of my job and being fired, and so could Miss Guzman. Option two, we change the schedule back. We change classes, so we've removed his biology class entirely to a classroom that's ADA approved. Or we could keep it in the same location. If we do that, we have to provide accommodations, so like those chairs and tables that I showed earlier. We need to meet as an administrative team to determine the most appropriate education for Miguel, and meet with the school board to work on funding for the rest of the building to update under ADA guidelines. And I know, once again, we are a financial struggling district, so I would want to look into grants and bonds that could be out there that could help us obtain our goal. Option 3, we could have Miguel take this class online or remote learning style. We would need to provide the technology in order to get him involved in that. And if he chooses to do remote learning with his classroom, we would relocate him to a quiet classroom in order to participate with his class. Out of all the options, I believe option 2 is the best. I want to keep Miguel inside the classroom and not, well, for one, not do anything, and number two, I don't, being remote is not the same as being in person. If option 2 was to occur, I believe we could solve the hard feelings and the overall skip the lawsuit and do what's best for the student. And then we can come to an agreement. If that occurs, something that I will do personally is to make sure all my staff is trained. I don't want to have this incident happen again. And tell my staff that communication is so important. Making sure we let the parents know that classes are being changed and why. Making sure we let other teachers know or and work with other teachers. So if Miss Gutzman would have worked with our biology teacher, maybe we would have came up with something. And also, I want to be encouraging. I don't want to discourage anyone for their mishaps. Miss Gutzman, like I said, is right out of college. I don't want her to lose her passion for counseling. I want her to continue and to learn from this. These are some of the references I used throughout my presentation, and I hope we learned more about what to do when it comes to accommodating for students in the future. Thank you.